chairman of that, and it would seem that he has several other things he has to do from time to time, and really doesn't have an awful lot of time to serve as chairman of that authority. So with his consent, we're changing the chairmanship from the governor to the commissioner. The governor would become the vice chair. We're also changing the appointment process for the residents of Hog Hammock who are on that commission, and we would have the governor appoint 2 of those, whereas the governor appoints 1, and some other way the other resident became a member. And that basically is what the bill does. I would tell you that it's a department bill. They support that, and everybody that's involved supports that. And it is important for us to have more local input into that in that Sapelo Heritage Commission.
All right, does anybody have any questions for the author?
Thank you very much.
We might. Let's see if we got some people signed up to speak on. You can step back and see if anybody signed up to speak to the bill. We do have Mr. Neil Herring, if he will come to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Neil Herring, Georgia Chapter of the Sierra Club. We support this bill. We want to thank Buddy DeLoach for moving this forward. We're particularly glad to see these penalties updated. There was a gap a number of years ago. A fellow had gotten a bunch of flue dust from a steel mill, and he was hauling around pretending it was fertilizer till he killed everything he put it on. And he piled it up in at a schoolyard in Tifton. It was blowing dust across the playground, and the preacher saw it and wanted to know what's that. And turned out to be poisonous flue dust. They brought it back to Atlanta and buried it in Atlanta, which is where you want to put your poison, I think. But when they went to send the man to jail, it turned out that they hadn't updated the rules. What Buddy's doing, they hadn't done it. And they couldn't send him to jail. So he paid a fine, but he didn't do any time. So next time we catch one of those guys, we're going to lock them up, I hope. So thank you, Buddy.
All right. I think that's the only person we had signed up to speak to this bill. What's the pleasure of the committee? That'd be proper time. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, you got your bill. All right, the next bill on the agenda is House Bill 336. Representative Cox, if you'll come to the podium and present your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is House Bill 336, LC 510306. I'm going to put it simply. Pretty much like sitting in here, it feels like the air conditioning's not working. This is about refrigerant. It's basically changing the code so that new technologies from manufacturers, those new technologies can be accepted in the state of Georgia so that building can continue to happen as the EPA or some other organizations approve new product. At the same time, we're maintaining that the existing systems in our air conditioning in our homes, that mechanical contractors and homeowners can continue to have the same systems that they've had. So it's doing nothing more than opening the door for the manufacturers with new refrigerant so that we get better air conditioning. That's it.
Number two.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So is there a move right now to outlaw or phase out a refrigerant currently used?
So basically, there's what's called HFCs, which are hydrofluorocarbons, and R22 is what we used to use many years ago, and now then R410. So there's the move to slowly fade out some of these refrigerants and new technologies as they come along. In existing homes, you may have 410 or R22. A mechanical contractor may also have that in storage or in stock so they can continue to be used, but there is a phasing out process that's also occurring, yes.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So just to clarify, there is a move to phase out certain refrigerants in use. Does this slow down that process or delay it anyway? It sounds like maybe it does.
No, it does not slow it down. It allows us to be able to build, if we're building a home, that we're not waiting on.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the new ones. I'm talking about the old ones.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm asking you right now, are there standards in place or regulations or whatever that are requiring the phasing out of certain
No.
refrigerants? Because I know that the heating and air company that I use has told me that at some point, we're going to have to switch to a different type of refrigerant. So I'm just wondering, does this bill slow down or delay getting rid of the use or stopping the use of certain refrigerants?
It does not.
So it doesn't change the schedule at all?
It doesn't change the schedule.
Okay.
But it allows from a new construction standpoint for the new technologies to be utilized.
Okay, thank you.
Number 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Representative Cox, my friend.
Sure.
So I just had a quick question. Is there a significant amount cost related to switching over?
I do not know what the new technologies for manufacturers will be at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further questions, we do have someone signed up to speak to the bill. Mike Razi, I think.
Close enough, Rosie.
Well, tell us who you are and who you're with.
Yes. Good morning, or good afternoon, Chairman Corbett, members of the committee. My name is Mike Nerosi. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for AHRI, the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute. Thank you for allowing me to speak today and convey our strong support for House Bill 336, sponsored by Representative Cox, which will provide the American manufacturers in the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration industry with the certainty needed to comply with forthcoming federal regulations phasing down the use of hydrofluorocarbon refrigerants. AHRI represents more than 330 manufacturers of air conditioning, heating, commercial refrigeration, and water heating equipment. Our member companies produce 90% of the residential and commercial air conditioning, heating, and commercial refrigeration equipment made in North America. In North America, the annual economic activity resulting from the HVAC-R industry is approximately $256 billion. I think I'm losing the mic. In the United States alone, AHRI member companies, along with distributors, contractors, technicians, employ more than 1.3 million people, including more than 23,000 jobs here in Georgia. In December 2020, the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act, or AIM Act, was signed into law by President Trump, which directs the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to enact rules that will phase down the use of the current HFC-based refrigerants, restricting their use in certain applications such as commercial refrigeration, chillers, and air conditioning. This allows for an orderly transition to the next generation of refrigerants, many of which are made in the United States. However, our manufacturers are facing a pressing challenge. Building codes need to be updated this year to remove regulatory barriers to the use of these new refrigerants. Efforts are underway to do so, both in Georgia and across the country, but the regulatory timelines for these efforts are 2 to 3 years away. This is too late for American manufacturers and for Georgia consumers. House Bill 336 amends the state building code to allow any substitute refrigerant deemed safe under federal standards to be used in Georgia. This will eliminate the mismatch of the building code schedule and allow the use of new refrigerants 1 or 2 years earlier, ensuring that there's no regulatory disruption for consumers, by making new products available for sale in Georgia on the same schedule as other states. And I will note that this same legislation has passed in a wide variety of both red and blue states, and Tennessee, Texas, Louisiana, and Missouri are just some of the states that have passed this legislation. In short, House Bill 336 eliminates a critical timing barrier without imposing any new regulatory standards. It simply allows harmonization with the 2024 model building codes, benefiting consumers and businesses that rely on air conditioning and refrigeration equipment. Thank you again for the opportunity to present testimony, and look forward to continuing to work with the Georgia General Assembly to achieve the economic and environmental benefits of the phase down of HFCs. Thank you.
Cost-wise, the new refrigerant as compared to the R22, I know you can't get R11 and R12 anymore, but you can still get R22.
With the new refrigerants, there won't be any noticeable increase in price to the consumer. In fact, most consumers aren't even going to realize that they're using the new type of refrigerant. It's simply just going to be manufactured into the new equipment as it comes onto the market. The old refrigerants, actually, this EPA phase down leaves about a 15% reserve of the current HFC-based refrigerants specifically to service older equipment, so folks can still service their older equipment. So yeah, it's no. I mean, the cost of the refrigerant in HVAC systems is typically about 1% of the total cost. So there won't be any, shouldn't be any noticeable difference in the cost of the equipment.
Okay, we have a question, Representative Campbell.
The new refrigerants are some already up and ready, running, or still out in front of you to build?
Yeah, actually, 80% of automobiles that are manufactured in, that are sold here in the United States have these new refrigerants in them in their air conditioning systems. So this would just move to residential and commercial.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any more questions. What's the pleasure of the committee? We have a motion, and we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. All right, we have one other measure on for today, and that's House Bill 396, Representative Vance. We started this morning together, and we're going to end this afternoon together, looks like.
I hope this one goes better than the one this morning.
Me too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This really is, it's LC, LC 460551. It's, you know, it's House Bill 396. This really should be a local bill, but since there was an authority created under statute in 2006, the board, the current board, as it's made now, has asked that we add the president of Georgia College and State University to the Greenway Authority. And that's it.
Is this your first bill?
It is this afternoon. My first one was this morning. Didn't do too well. Y'all help me out here.
You was pinch hitting. You was pinch hitting for somebody this morning.
Sir.
I think you.
Yes, sir. So this is my first bill. Yes, sir.
We do have a question. Number 7.
To my good friend from Milledgeville, you're a great improvement over your predecessor. But I do want to ask you because. I want to clarify the Oconee River Greenway Authority. Is that like an economic development authority for bonding? What exactly does that authority do?
No, sir. The Oconee Greenway Authority represents the Oconee Greenway. It's a recreational area that was established by me when I was a city councilman in Milledgeville, Georgia. We bought up land along the river, improved it, made bike paths and walking paths out of it. Also, the Georgia Military College Rangers use it as a training ground for some of their activities, and that's what it's there for.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I think first time you and I met, you said you was the quarterback for Tift High School
Many years ago.
Many years ago. And you reminded me of when you used to play in Valdosta, a very memorable
His
event.
name was Mike Everson. He was number 67, and he knocked me out. No,
So I mean, how many years ago was that?
that was 1970.
So 52 years, that was a memorable hit. But anyway.
You would have too.
But anyway, I don't see any other questions. What's the pleasure of the committee? We got a motion to pass. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. You have your bill. I like those.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And the meeting is adjourned.